Tesla is down almost 40% in the last 6 months alone. So is this the time to sell Tesla and get out of it now? Or is this the time to buy the dip? Let's go ahead and break it down. There are 3 things that I pulled out about Tesla that really has me looking at the company a bit differently, because the landscape has changed from what we know about the company now in 2024 and what the company was 5, 6, or even 7 years ago. So let's jump right into it. The first thing is this: the EV space, electric vehicle space, has changed, and for Tesla, it's not changed for the betterment of the company and obviously for the betterment of the stock. So for example, we know right now that we have more choices for Tesla, and that has hurt the company, it has hurt the stock, and it has hurt their prices. So now when we are looking at electric vehicles, it used to be Tesla and nobody else. Okay, and when that was the case, Tesla could charge whatever they wanted to charge. And when they did do that, they had what we call high margins. That is the cost of the good, right, the vehicle, and then what they charge for it. Those margins, that spread, was very high. That's not the case no more, because they have had to cut prices, and it feels like every 6 months or so they cut prices. And that's because now I can say, all right, well, I can get the Tesla, I can get the electric Mustang, I can get the electric Ford F-150 or Rivian or the electric Cadillac. Like, I have so many different options now, and Tesla has had to cut prices to remain competitive and lower those margins. This is one reason why Tesla announced they were laying off, I think it was close to 10% of their staff, which is again an effort to cut cost for them, because they're not able to charge those exorbitant fees or the exorbitant cost of their cars like they used to. They have to start to cut corners now, which is not helping the company. So there's one thing that is definitely hurting them on the home front. Now, I don't think that this means that Tesla is going to become, you know, from #1 electric producer of vehicles to number 4 or 5 or 6 or anything like that, at least not anytime soon. They're going to remain #1. They're going to remain a power player in this space, at least to me, for the foreseeable future, because yes, they're still the main producer. Also, they have the charger network that has everybody in a bind, because Ford and Rivian and others have had to capitulate and bend in certain angles to move to their type of chargers. So that is something that's going to keep them in control. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the stock is going to respond in the way that we were used to when Tesla was making 30, 40, 50% a year. And I've got something about that if you definitely want to know about the returns of the company too. But here's the other thing: the China aspect. One aspect that had helped Tesla really years ago, but it started to fade, is the fact that they had major factories in China that helped them to create the batteries and put a lot of their parts together. Well, back then, I say back then, we're talking 7, 8, 9 years ago, when there was really just Tesla and nobody else, they could do all that stuff in China, have all those resources to themselves, and have all those resources producing Tesla components and Tesla components only. Well, now you have a company like BYD and companies like NIO in China that are now dividing up those resources. So people who used to work at Tesla are now working at BYD. People who used to work at Tesla are now working at other electric vehicle companies in China, and now aren't really focused on Tesla in the exact same way. And for a company like China, just like a company like the United States, who do you think that country is going to support? It's not going to be Tesla in the exact same way that it was when it was the only player. That is something that is going to help to, I guess, disrupt their supply chain in some way. Now, Tesla is working to mitigate this risk and kind of help offset that in some ways. We know a few years ago, they built a gigafactory in Germany, if I'm not mistaken, so that's going to help a bit. But that is something that is going to be a hang up. It was something that, I was going to say Bloomberg identified, Morningstar identified as a major risk factor, as well as Tesla identified this as a risk factor because of the international factor, because of the way that China operates, and because of that competition factor again. Not just here in the US, but obviously Tesla in China is also a major market for them. Well, now, just like it is in the United States, as that market gets divvied up between more and more players, that is going to be a space where they are now going to have to cut prices to be more competitive, and it's going to hurt margins. So it is something that they are going to have to worry about, and we are starting to see that reflected in the stock. Why do I say that? That brings me to number 3. So as I mentioned at the top of the video, the stock is down about 37% in the last 6 months, down about 15% in the last year. Now I had to go back and double check this because I almost didn't believe it, okay? If I go back to January of 2021, which was a year in which the stock market was up, okay? The stock market was up in 2021. Tesla is down from January 1 of 2021 to right now, the time that we're doing this video, the stock is down 33%. 33% in 3 years. 33% in 3 years. I don't think I have to tell y'all, you can find a better stock than that. Okay, I know that people love Elon Musk. I ain't one of those people, okay? But I know he has, you know, the company and he has a brand and all that kind of stuff. But in 3 years to lose 33%, you can really do better. Like, it ain't hard to do better. Now, in Tesla's defense, okay, we know that in the middle of that, 2022 was a rough year, okay? It was a rough year for the entire stock market. So that's one of the, 3 or 4 years we're talking about in this period. So you got 2021, market was up, 2022 was bad, 23 was up, and then 24 so far, market-wise is up. But of that period, right, 2 of those were down for Tesla, right? 2022 and so far in 2024. So half that time you're losing money in Tesla. I think, I'll say this, okay? Number one, it is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable for you to be losing money after 3 years on the company. Okay, we talk about long-term investments. You know how I operate. I will sell a loser, okay? But also, if it is a company that has good long-term prospects, like I did with NVIDIA, I will stick with it and it will pay off, or it has paid off, right? I can't sit here and be 100% sell everything on Tesla, okay? I'm not on the sell everything Tesla boat. I am, though, on the trim Tesla and move your money somewhere else. That is what I'm looking to do. That is what I'm looking at. Because again, in 3 years, how much more could you have made in almost any other stock at this point in time? Because that's what we're really looking at, is the opportunity cost, right? What I lost here in Tesla versus what I could have done with that exact same money, and that gap that you are not going to get back, and what we think that is going to be in the next 3 years. Because looking at these 3 factors, what's going to happen in China, what's going to happen with the EV market, that ain't going to change. That's not something that's going to get better in Tesla's favor. Like, what is Tesla really going to do, or what can they do to stop Ford from producing more vehicles, or stop Chevy, I say Chevy, but General Motors and Lexus and Toyota and Mercedes and all these other competitors from producing more vehicles to give you more choices until more affordable options come out and force them to cut prices? What other options do they actually have? I don't know. I don't know. Like, what if Tesla is what used to be a luxury brand in most people's eyes? What if it is just the next Ford? It's just a Ford of the future, where in the next 10 or 15 years, it just is Ford. They just produce cars, nothing prestige, nothing really nice. It is what it is, and we don't really think of it as a savvy super tech company that we used to. That is a possibility. That is a possibility, and I think, you know, more likely than not that could be where they are headed. Okay, now on a confidence perspective, like where I feel from 1 to 10 in terms of like, yeah, Tesla, this is the death nail of Tesla, I ain't saying that. Okay, I'm not saying that. I am saying that, you know, 1 to 10, I'm at a 6, that this is not good, and I don't know if the next 2 or 3 years is going to be great for the company. No, I don't think it's going to go bankrupt. I do think there will be a good year somewhere for Tesla just because of the brand name. Okay, they're going to gain just because of how Elon is. Also, unfortunately, because they cut staff, y'all know how I am. I hate this, but almost anytime a company cuts staff, the stock does jump over that next earning period because they say money is going to look a lot better on the earnings report. We all saw this at the end of, 2022, when Google, Apple, Amazon, I think everybody except for Apple, it was Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all cut staff. We thought we were going into a recession. They all cut, all those stocks jumped, and the market was good that year. Okay, so it could start to improve. I'm not super certain about it, but again, 3-year track record of not doing well is not encouraging. So what I would do is trim Tesla, start to diversify if you haven't already. If you're looking for places to diversify and other ways to, or other places rather, to put your money, then this is the video that you want to check out next.